Well, the Ventura River has always been a place for things to live, whether it's been wildlife, fish, people. It's just the nature of any river in a community. A number of years ago, when the 33 freeway was put in, they built a levee. It created a bit of a wall and allowed for this to become its own separate community as an unintended consequence.
There are between 65 and 115 people living right now on July 23rd, 2012 in the Ventura River, illegally.
We have a driving date that is coming upon us, which is September 17th, and on that date, a process of clearing certain areas is going to occur.
You can't just flush them out of there. Where are they going to go?
The entire water supply for the city of Ventura and the whole Ojai Valley comes from the Ventura River. And maintaining the water quality for a water supply and also for the recreation that we enjoy here at the river mouth is really important.
Not keeping those waterways free of bacteria and trash potentially will cost the city of Ventura upwards of $25,000 a day.
We'd rather see the city and the county and everybody spend the money on addressing the problem rather than having to deal with lawsuits and penalties. So we're hopeful that we can get to the solution without having to go there.
The problem of whether or not the homeless people living there are totally responsible for the mess, I personally believe that's overstated.
In the beginning, to deal with the problem, we used to host volunteer cleanups, and we're talking about, 10, 12 tons of garbage.
And when it floods out here, all of that ends up in the ocean. And even when it's not raining, all of that human waste impacts the water quality.
You don't need to sample water or do a fancy test just to see visually, how impactful the camps are. I mean, there's trash literally everywhere.
It wasn't designed for people to just live on it the way they are.
Orondo is just the scourge of Southern California waterways. It provides a lot of cover for camps and clandestine activities, drug sales, drug manufacturing, prostitution, all sorts of bad stuff goes down here behind the Orondo curtain.
I felt threatened every time I walked near there. And I was scared, literally, I was scared.
A lot of these people are really accustomed to this lifestyle and they aren't ready to give it up yet. So we're gonna have to let them know, hey, it's a free country, but you're not free to live that lifestyle here. This is private property now, and we're going to enforce our private property rights.
They should have some plan as far as what's next after the eviction process. Obviously, downtown Ventura doesn't want all these people on their doorsteps, so what's the plan for that?
The city of Ventura community is challenged by what's been going on in the river and the population that lives down here and then comes up onto the streets. A lot of panhandling, a lot of just hanging out in our local parks, and it doesn't just wash away. These are people.
I was born to a family of incest, so I was a full-blown alcoholic from age 12 to 18.
I've never had a drinking problem, smoking problem, drugs, nothing. I'm just a straight, honest guy, and here I am.
We reach out to those folks, meet them in the street, meet them in the river, and start working on a process towards reintegration into community.
What do you guys think you're going to do? You have a plan? You need help? What's the life? Well, that's what we do. Yeah, so.
It's still a complicated issue to get somebody who has lived essentially in their home to move out of that home. And it is completely and totally our intention to take anyone who has lived in the Ventura River and surround them with services, resources, and solutions.
The community needs to come to understand the folks that are going to come out of the river need to be accepted, and that takes some work. That takes relational work, and it doesn't happen overnight.
Their hearts bleed for the criminals who reside here more than for the long-term effects on the environment. The people who are living here are not your nice, warm and fuzzy homeless that want a hand up. They're not the ones who seek a job.
They're not right. There's at times, I was that person that wasn't the model citizen. I wasn't doing good, and I was committing a lot of crimes. When there's programs and things to help, my life has changed, my attitude has changed. I'm actually wanting to work more with the community and help move forward and help other people in the situations that I was in before to move in the right direction.
It's just complicated, but certainly no more complicated or emotional than it is for the individual who's been living in an area for some cases years and years and years, who really doesn't know where they're going to go that night.
Oh! Somewhere else! Not after September 17th. What? Do you have a date? September 17th. September 17th. But remember, guys, that on September 4th, you will have to be out of the river all day. September 4th, because we're coming in to do a cleanup, but September 17th is the last day until you start getting arrested or cited. Okay? All right. Thank you.
With the people group that's here, they respond differently than you or I would when faced with radical change. And we know with river folks, chronic homeless people, their responses to things generally involves anger, some violence potentially depending on the person, and how that comes out can be in graffiti, it can come out in human waste, it can come out in breaking things, and it could possibly come out in fires.
We begin with breaking news out of Ventura County, where brush fire has created a traffic nightmare for drivers on the 101. The fire broke out just after 3 this afternoon in the Ventura River near Santa Clara and Olive Streets. Heavy smoke is affecting traffic. The Ventura County Fire Department says 1.5 acres have burned so far. And of course, we will continue to keep you updated as soon as more information becomes available.
This is one of those problems that we feel should be prevented. If people would behave differently, if they would not reside down in the riverbed, we would not have this problem.
Arundo eradication is one component of long-term restoration of the river. I think it's important to point out though that Arundo is not the problem, right? And yeah, if you clear all the Arundo out and you make this barren landscape where nobody can hide, sure, you're going to probably have less people camping out in the vicinity. But the long-term goal of a restoration would be to restore the native plants that would grow over time and replace that vegetation. And you know what? I could probably hide just as easily underneath a sycamore tree or in a clump of willows as I could in a patch of Arundo. Removing Arundo is not the final solution, and hopefully that we don't see that approach as a way to circumvent really addressing the real issue.
It's hard to get the community to care about the homeless. They just don't want to see the problem. They just want to brush it off.
And I think that the residents of the city of Ventura are beginning to experience what is homeless fatigue, getting a little bit tired of the quality of life impact that vagrant behaviors are having.
So you flush them into the community, but you're doing that by making life hard for them. I don't get it, and I've seen it for, like I said, 37 years. It's always the same, just damning the poor and the homeless, because they're ruining our parades somehow.
And we know that it's not enforcement and arrests. It's assistance.
Anytime you reintegrate something, it's a process. So if you're inviting fish back into a river or people back into a community, it's a similar process, that you're having to get both of those used to something different that they haven't been used to in the past.
River Haven is a unique, non-traditional, transitional living project that the City of Ventura is in partnership with the Turning Point Foundation with. River Haven is a legal campground for formerly homeless individuals that is located on property owned by the City of Ventura. I challenge you to find another program like that.
And this is a place where you can come in, you can stabilize your condition, you can work your program, you can get the help that you need through all the services that are provided by the county and by us.
River Haven Turning Point Foundation actually gave me a second chance, which I'm really appreciative for.
I have 12 years, 6 months clean from shooting up meth and 30 years clean from alcohol.
I want to work. I want to go back to work if at all possible. Whatever job's out there, I'm sure I'll be able to get it. I'm not taking no for an answer, and nobody's going to slam any doors in my face, because been there, done that, and it's not fun.
I would recommend anybody that's available to move in here, by all means. You know, I wish they would put in a dozen more places like this.
Whether or not we will ever have enough capacity to do that is always going to be a big question, because the funding at times runs out.
We need permanent supportive housing for all the folks who are here. River Haven is temporary, a campground is temporary.
There's no doubt that, you know, this is a problem that does need more resources. You know, we can have compassion and we can have a clean river, and it's probably going to cost money, yes, and it's going to take a lot of effort. It's not just going to be, you know, the city who deals with this. It's going to have to be, you know, the community and businesses. This is something that affects everybody.
We're seeking to reconnect the community, be it picnics, be it bird watching, be it hiking. When there's water, be it swimming. When there's steelhead back in here, be it fishing. Those are all things that we used to do here in Ventura.
Why do we have to choose between, you know, having compassion and having a clean and safe environment? We don't.